All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode, and we are talking about new knife today. So this one just came in today in this beautiful Koenig box. So yes, the knife that came in today is the Koenig Arius Gen 4. This is a knife that has been on my want list for quite a while and for very, very good reason. This knife is an absolutely amazing expression from Koenig. Knife is beautiful. Functionality of it is beautiful. So let's talk just a little bit about it. So this is a titanium frame knife. So you can see we've got a nice kind of blasted tie handle. We've got a blue tie backspacer, and then we have all titanium hardware. So this is all non-anodized. It's all just silver hardware. I do plan on doing some kind of aesthetic changes to this knife. On top of the titanium, we have a M390 blade mounted on bearings, and I do believe, I did not look it up, but this blade does appear to be a hollow grind, which, as you guys know, is one of my absolute favorites. Now, let's talk a little bit about the general description of this knife. So we've got a 3.5-inch blade. Again, as we have spoken before, 3.5-inch blade is kind of the sweet spot for me. Anything over that 3.5 inches, I really, really enjoy it. And this knife has an overall length of 8.5 inches. So it's got a really nice size handle, nice grip area for the hand. Blade has great geometry, really, really slicey. So I have carried this with me all day today. I've been using it for a few tasks, and it's been an absolute joy. So let's get down into the early impressions and what I think about the knife. So overall, I think the knife looks absolutely fantastic. Kind of gives me that bird of prey, kind of falcon kind of look to it. I don't know that that is an intended aesthetic to it, but it definitely has that feeling to me. You've got this nice opened up area right here. Use that for thumb and middle finger flicking. The knife gives me the impression of like a velociraptor eye or some kind of bird of prey, a falcon, a hawk, something like that. And then you have this nice sweeping motion that this swedge on the back leading into the tip of the blade, which gives it kind of a hawk bill kind of feel, even though this is a drop point knife. Handle has some real nice aesthetics and ergonomics. So the handle fits very well. Index finger and middle finger fit phenomenally into this little swale. And then the rest of the hand fits great. Now, unlike many knives that I own, this knife has absolutely zero jimping on the back of the blade. So absolutely no kind of texture or things to hold on the blade. And in the few hours that I have owned it, I do not miss it. So they kind of have this beautiful little thumb ramp here. It's a very mild ramp, but it is just enough for you to get your thumb up against there, put some pressure on it, kind of flatten out this muscle in your palm. So you may remember when I was doing the Vero review, you kind of had that like pulled up area because the jimping was right in line with the front of the bolster. This thumb ramp actually has just that extra maybe ½ inch of movement in front of the bolster that really lets you kind of open that thumb muscle up right here in the palm and makes it very, very comfortable. Outside of that, the opening closing of this knife is absolutely effortless. I was actually trying today to fail at opening, and out of a few hundred, see, I am like really trying to make this fail at flipping, and I can't do it. So there were only a couple of instances where I think maybe one instance where I was able to get it to not flick open. And I think I was using gravity to that a little bit. Middle finger flick is effortless. And you can also thumb flick this knife with ease. Has a relatively decent tuned detent. So, you know, that standard kind of trying to flip it out doesn't really work on this. And I really like that. But you can also flick with just about any finger. So it's not too tight. It's not too loose. It's right in that perfect spot where you're not worrying about getting an accidental deployment. You're not, you know, acting kind of crazy and trying to get that flip out that way. You really have to manually do it with your hand. Flipper tab. Geometry on the flipper tab is also quite well done. It's not overexposed. It doesn't protrude outside all that much. It's not a crazy amount. They did do a fantastic job at rounding all of the edges, and it has just the right amount of jimping on that back side, so it gives you the texture to hold on to, but not so much that it's super abrasive. It doesn't wear your fingers down or anything like that. It's just very, very well done. Backspacer is a good size and works quite well. And, you know, that's really all I can say about the aesthetics. One kind of neat, I'm not sure that this is like an Easter egg or anything, but there is a small cutout right there where the clip is. And as I shut the blade, you will kind of see that as I shut the blade, it shows up in that little spot. Inside that little spot, this knife reads Gen 4 B1. So I've seen a lot of times on social media where people are like, I don't know what Arius model I have. I'm not sure if all of them are like this, but I opened it up and I was like, man, there's some writing or something in there. Oh, it says Gen 4 right on the inside of the scale. Speaking of scales, they are very well milled out. There's a lot of milling in here where they've removed quite a bit of material. Looks really intricate inside there. And because of that, they've really brought the weight of this knife way, way down. So you would think an all-tie knife, approximately 8.5 inches open with a 3.5-inch blade, a nice hefty blade at that this thing would be super weighty. And I think it weighs right about 5 pounds. Picking it up, it felt like a feather compared to what it looked like it should be. Handles have a really nice, they're somewhat thick, but they do have a very nice radius on them. So you're radiusing from the middle to the outside edges, really fits the palm very, very well. Let's talk about the one negative that I have found about this knife. And again, this is only the first day that I have had it, so very, very early on. First negative is the lock bar. So you can see that there is jimping on the lock bar, but it's kind of flat. So you have a flat area with jimping, which gives you a nice texture for gripping onto it and opening or closing the knife. So opening up the lock bar and closing the blade. But because it is flat, when you go in there with the side of your thumb, you're impacting on a jagged sawtooth area of flat material. I would have really liked to have seen, so they chamfered the opposite side just a little, or did they? No. So that side is not chamfered either. I really would have liked to seen just a slight chamfer on the inside of that lock bar to remove some of the pressure from the finger. You can actually see on the tip of my thumb here, if it will focus in. I've actually got a little bit of callus wearing off right there because I've flipped this knife a few hundred times today, for sure. One of them is because this thing is so effortless to flip and so darn smooth. So yeah, only con so far, I am going to have this thing in my pocket pretty much continuously for the next 2 weeks, other than times that I'll have the CKF Evo 2 in my pocket so that I can finish up that review as well. Overall, this knife has exceeded my expectations in every way, shape, or form. I feel so incredibly fortunate to have added this to my collection, and I have added a bunch of great knives to my collection in the last year. So there have been a lot of really cool things. A lot of people's grails have been into my collection and then quickly jettisoned out of it because I did not like them, and that predates my my entry into the YouTube review sphere. So there are a lot of opportunities that I missed because I brought this on so late. But thank you for joining into the early impressions review of the Koenig Arius Gen 4. I'll come back in a few weeks and tell you what my final thoughts are. Thanks. Have a good one. Oh, I almost forgot. That picture right there behind me, it's not mine. I will be linking down below. In my other video, I decided to put a picture of mine up in the background, and I thought, you know what would be a great way to kind of make this more of a community event? Maybe I put somebody else's picture in the on the screen behind me. So this beautiful Koenig Arius shot comes to us via MB Wild. Great guy in the community. I'm going to link his social media down below. Go give him a follow if you have not. If you have, go and like a few of his photos because they're great. So give MB some love and go check out his content. Have a good one.